Alright, so welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm happy to announce that we reached 1,000 subs. So today I'm going to be scaping this tank here. It's only a 5.5 gallon, so I'm kind of doing like a micro tank size. I've got quite a bit of driftwood, I've got a couple rocks, I've got some sand, and I've got some aqua soil. So let's get started. Alright guys, so let's kind of talk about some of the things I've got here. I've got some super glue to glue the rocks to the wood, so that way the wood won't rise up and change the way we've actually scaped everything. I've got some fluval stratum. This will be really nice for helping the plants actually grow. This has a bunch of beneficial bacteria already in this, especially with some minerals as well. And then I've got some gravel slash sand. I'm kind of thinking of doing like a scale up the middle of the tank to kind of add a sense of depth to it. And then I also have some substrate tabs. I got these pretty cheap from Petco slash PetSmart. I think this is a Petco brand, but I'm just gonna crush these up a little bit and sprinkle these underneath the actual substrate. And then I've got some wood here. I got this nice piece. There's 1, 2, here's 3, and then the big boy. I don't think we'll be able to fit this one in our tank, so I might have to just boil this one a little bit and then add it into the 40-gallon tank and just kind of see how we feel about that. So move this off to the side. And then I got some plants here. Some of them, it does look like they're in bad shape to start. Like this one, I can never pronounce these names, but here's this one. And then here's this one, some rotala. And then we've got this one. So hopefully these will actually grow inside of the tank and they'll actually look pretty good. And then here are the rocks. I've got this one. I think I might need smaller rocks, but we'll kind of just work with what we've got and then see how we feel about everything towards the end. Here's another piece. And then we've got this one. This one's got, it looks like a little bit of like jade or like emerald in it. It's pretty cool. This one's just a lava rock. So this one should sink pretty quickly. But yeah, let's move all this stuff out of the way now and just kind of look at what we've got here. Okay, so let's start with our 5.5 gallon tank first. This is just a tank that I picked up from Petco or PetSmart. You can pick these up there. They're usually like 25 bucks. If you wait until they have a deal where you can get these for 50% off, I highly recommend it. That's how I got my 40 gallon. I got the 20 gallon that way. You just want to wait until the open tank ones, they're the ones that just look like this. It's just the tank alone. No filters, no nothing, just straight tank. That's what you want to look for. But let's get started with adding in our substrate. So let me get my little box cutter here. I'm just going to add in the first bag and we'll see how we feel about that. So I'll show you what the substrate looks like a little bit. This is what it kind of looks like. They're little balls of like clay, dirt. And what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna pour this right in. Don't want to go overboard at first. Let me actually grab a tool for this. There we go. I also lowered the camera. I didn't notice how bad the zoom was. So what I'm kind of thinking of doing is just leveling this to where it rises in the back. Kind of going with that sort of look of it, of some sort of depth of it going this way. So when you look into it, you've got an actual sense of depth in the tank. So let's do that. And now let's kind of just, I want to grab our wood here. So I'm thinking again of doing a sense of it's going up this way. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab, I've got this cup that I got in Mexico on vacation. I'm just gonna fill this up with some more substrate just to kind of fill in areas that I think need it the most. Okay, maybe we want a little bit more over here. Just kind of in the back. Cover that up a little bit. Because again, we want a sense of depth with this. We want it to look as if it's slanting upwards. Maybe add a little bit more in back here. Let's kind of level this off. Just add a touch more to the center. Yeah, I quite like that. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna take the super glue here. We're just gonna kind of drop this in here so we can actually join these together. So I see a spot here that I want to join. I just got to get a good angle at it. I don't like this. I got to find a good way to get my hand in here. Okay, so I don't think that's gonna work. So plan B is gonna be to take some just paper towel here, just bunch it up, ball it up. And then I'm gonna get my little tweezers here. Oh no, let me fish that out. I'm right-handed, so I can't really do that left. So we're just gonna wanna ball this up and just kind of put it out of sight. And then we're just gonna kind of soak that there. And then we're gonna wanna do the same thing on the other piece. So we gotta find a good contact point. Okay, so I see one. Actually, I see where I wanna add more gravel in. So let me do that too. Actually, I might be able to get away with just that should be good there. There you go, that's perfect. Now let's get a little bit more. Then this one I can stuff right here. Okay, now that we have glued everything in, let's kind of give everything like a wiggle test. This piece, I'm not confident in it being down yet, so let me get another piece here. Just like that. There we go. Now that should be good, you know. I don't think that's going anywhere. That's sure not going anywhere. Oh yeah, that's steady. That is solid. Now we're gonna add in our white sand here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of trail it up the center here. So again, I'm just gonna kind of cut a little hole in the bag for this one. Then we're just gonna fill this puppy up. And now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna kinda just sort of drop this in here, just like this. Just enough to cover up our substrate here. There we go. And then we can take this tool, just kind of feather this into the back. Okay, we're gonna need a little bit more on the bottom there. So let's just get a little bit more. We don't want to go overkill on this, but we don't want to lack in some spaces. So just like that. And then let's kind of, if we can, see if we can pour some right into the back over here. That's pretty good. That looks really good. I really like that. Now what we're gonna do, kind of want to do this before what I just did, because you don't want to mess everything up, but I'm not gonna put anything in here. I'm just gonna kind of put all the plants spread out up in the top. So I'm just gonna get a couple of these tabs here. That's what they look like. Gonna grab my tweezers and then just kind of just stuff these down into the substrate. So that way when they actually release, they'll be deep into the roots of the plants. There we go. Okay. Okay, now that we've got that all set up, let's move this out of the way. Give us some more room. You're gonna wanna get a spray bottle and then just kinda wet everything. Especially since we're gonna add in some plants. So be a little generous with this. Go. Okay, there we go. And now I am going to add in my plants. Before I do that though, I have to remove them from the gel, so I'll be right back after I do that. Okay, so I actually grabbed another plant here. This is actually one from my 40-gallon tank. I didn't really notice any growth with it, so I figured, you know, why don't I just add it to this one? It'll actually get a lot better view than it would in the 40-gallon. So I'm thinking, I'm just gonna stuff this guy right in here. Just like so. And just like that. And now what we're gonna wanna do, now that we've cleaned off as much of this gel as we can. The gel is not harmful, but it's also not good or bad for the tank. So I'm just gonna throw some of this down over here. Just like so, there's one. Start throw this one back in over here. There you go, that one's in there. Let's add another one of these maybe up here. Oh, there we go. That one's in there. Let's add this one right behind this rock. Add another one back here actually. Okay, now we've got the rotala. This one I'm gonna kind of place. Got quite a bit. Let me just separate out some of this. Just toss that one in there. Put that one over there. Then let's maybe add one if we can get it back here. Oh, that's tough to get in there. That's not gonna go in there. Okay. Just get another piece of this. We'll try to toss it somewhere in here. Maybe right here. There we go. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Okay, so now what we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna wanna add in the water with a paper towel over it, so that way we actually don't mess up the way anything looks. So I'm just gonna get this paper towel here, just kind of place it over everything. Okay, using my same cup that I used before, I'm just gonna pour this right onto my paper towel because we don't want to ruin our landscape. Alright guys, so here we are back in the fish room. I'm going to start adding in my chemicals. As per usual, we're going to go with Clarity first, clear up some of the stuff floating around in the tank. So what we're going to do, just going to add a little bit at a time. Again, this is going to make the tank cloudy, but that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to cloud the tank. That's how you know it is working. And now we're gonna go right in with our stability. That way we can get our beneficial bacteria going. Even though I know there's quite a bit of bacteria actually already in here, we wanna make sure that when we do go to add our fish, I put way too much into the cap, that we actually have our tank stabilized. And talking about stabilizing, we're gonna go in with our Secum Prime, which again, this one is to help stabilize it and get rid of all of the extra ammonia, the nitrates, nitrites, everything that is actually harmful to the fish. So just gonna douse that in as well. And then we will come back in about 30 minutes or so and we will actually see what our tank looks like. All right, so here we are back at the tank. It's gonna take a little while for it to clear. It hasn't fully cleared. I even gave this about an hour for it to clear. I don't think it's gonna clear fully because of the specific pieces of wood that we have in here. They're gonna release a lot of tannins in the water eventually over time. So we're just gonna make sure that over time we will remove some of the water so that way this does actually clear up, and we'll also measure the parameters going forward so that way when the time comes, we can actually add in our fish. I was personally thinking of adding in some blue neon tetras. If you're thinking of a different fish in particular, leave a comment down below. I would love to hear what you guys are actually thinking on what you want in here. But yeah, thank you so much guys for sticking around and watching. I never thought I'd actually make it to 1,000 subscribers, so this is actually really cool. But again, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys soon.